Hi, Bruce. How are
Hey,
you?
I'm doing good. How about
Good.
you?
Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Love to tell the story.
Yes. I'm here today with Bruce Gates. He is a chiropractic doctor, spinologist, and vertebrologist. He is the author of Learning is Everywhere and Every When, a homeschooling tome, and The Witches of North Springfield, True Stories of Home Education.
Right.
He home birthed 8 of their 10 children, and he taught at Santa Fe Community School, an alternative school based on Summerhill. Bruce has a saying he is guided by. We believe a child knows what they want to learn and how to learn it from the get-go, from birth and in lifelong learning. As teachers, we should be guides, not dictators. I would say as parents too, right, Bruce?
Absolutely.
All right, so I'd like to start. You unschooled 8 of your 10 children.
Correct.
Please let us know what they are all doing now.
Well, everybody but one lives in town here, so that's really nice. Eugene, Springfield, Oregon. Uh, let's see. Let's start at the beginning. Bruce is, after my name, is a high-end consultant, works for Deloitte, and he used to work for Disney, but they headhunted him out of there, and he quit after 25 years at Disney, and he's been working, making a ton of money. He likes traveling all over the country, consulting. The next in line is Eric. He's in town. He's had his back injury a while back, so he's caretaking his sister who lives next door, and he's a dog walker. So he's doing his own business. Then we've got one son, the only one who isn't, and he's in Japan. He he's a U of O graduate, and he graduated with language, Japanese, went to Japan, and he loved it there. And then came back here, and he was a carpenter. He's a journeyman carpenter, and he disliked the culture. Everybody he worked for was cutting corners, and so he went back to Japan. He's been there 5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, he likes it. He loves it, and he's studying architecture over there too. And then we got Ariel. She's a trained chef. She still loves to cook, but currently she's raising one of our grandsons. He's 8 years old, homeschooling too,
Mhm.
and born at home also. And then there's Janelle. We call her Chi. She's retired. She's got a disability, cerebral palsy, and but she owns her own home and she lives with friends who help her psychologically and physically. And then there's Rain Song. She's got a Bachelor of Science from the U of O, and she's a chef, strong, born in the year of the tiger, and and exemplifies that very much. And then we've got Ria. She's another U of O graduate in journalism. Not doing any journalism currently. She's a great writer, but I think she'll get there. Then we got Rise, who's another U of O graduate. He graduated with in music from the University of Oregon, and then went back and got his master's in business. He's currently working for a company in town. Lastly, there's Shay, U of O graduate too in business, and he's an entrepreneur selling stuff on Amazon and different places. So they're all around, and that's really nice to see. And they're all doing something. They're all survived and alive. And of course, um, once you hit this society, then you get the challenges, they're doing well though, basically.
Yeah, they're doing fantastic. I mean, so none of your kids ever stepped foot in a school room, and
One,
five
one
of,
did.
oh, one did.
One did, the first, Eric. He went for a while. We let him go, and he came back, and he transferred to Springfield, and because he wanted a subject they had, and then he quit. He says, because I have to hang out there all day to take this one subject I like. So he stopped. And we supported that inquiry for him. And of course, the rest of the kids watched that and they said, nah, we don't think we'll try it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I mean, they all went to college,
They all
right?
went. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them who wanted to went to college.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of parents, when you talk about homeschooling or unschooling, they're afraid, like, what if their kid wants to get to college?
Oh, it's a piece of cake. Not all our kids took the GED and they all passed within 2 weeks. Some of them had trouble with math and others with writing, but it was real easy. And they all went. Most of them went when they were 16. They started Lane Community College.
Okay, great. So
Yeah,
community college and then transfer to U of O.
yeah.
Nice, great. That's such a nice transition, right?
Oh, it's a really nice transition. Started a community college. I think it's a little easier. When they turned 16, I said, you guys are going to do one of several things. You're going to have to get a job or you're going to have to, why don't you try college? It's not for everybody. It really isn't, but go give it a try. And we sent them there and told them to take keyboarding because they were going to need that. And it just
Nice.
got them used to being at the college.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's really smart. I think that's a really good advice. And also, I'm told by another mom that I was meeting with that, in Europe, once you graduate from high school, you are invited to consider two different tracks, either college or trade school.
Yeah.
It's very much encouraged.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I know
Yeah,
Norway, I think it's Norway or Finland right now. The school is so magnificent. There's basically no homework. They believe that the kids, need to play is more important than burdening them with this work thing going on.
right, right. Now, I think most of our audience would be interested in knowing, what does self-directed learning look like? Right? You have 8 kids.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
were you able to encourage all of their passions?
Well, it's actually easy, I think, because if you're interested in life, they're going to be interested in life. And really, all you have to do is keep them interested. And when they're born, they hit the ground running. I mean, all our babies were born at home, and I helped bring them out. I was the midwife. So you watch them come out, and they start looking at you, and then within the first month or two, they're trying to crawl around, and they want to know everything.
Right.
So you really just have to look for that everything. So you pay attention to, each one. What do they like? Some like cooking, some like sewing, some like sports, others like music. And so you just really pay attention to what your kid wants and try to help them get there.
Right.
And our way of doing that was was keeping a lot of things around. We have a lot of instruments, drums, we've got bagpipe, harps, flutes, saxophone, clarinet, violin, guitars, pianos, you name it. You keep them around and and they'll pick up on it. Same way
Wow.
with cooking. We've got 5 rolling pins in the kitchen. So, when we're cooking, when we're making something, and it's really hard to slow them down. Like Gatto pointed out, you can dumb them down. Currently, we've got a granddaughter who's living with us. She's 7.5. Try to give her a lesson in language, and she wants nothing to do with it. She
Right.
absolutely shuts down and walks away. She doesn't want to learn the alphabet. She doesn't want to learn it all, and yet she's learning it. It's impossible to stop her from learning it.
Right. And it's so nice that when she walks away, you just let her go do whatever she feels like doing.
Yeah, yeah, and she's busy. She does so many things during the day. Yesterday was a super busy day. Friends came. She loved them. It was exciting and crazy. Today it's raining, and she's in there on the floor playing with her dolls and her toys and role modeling, the life that she sees.
Yes, and that's also another thing is, when you have one child and they're playing, it's not necessarily the parent's job to play with the child. She's very able to just play on her own in her
Yeah,
own imagination, right?
exactly. She needs that time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She also needs to play with us. She's learning how to play the games that we play. She's learned how to play. She's learning how to play. We bought Scrabble Junior. She likes that one, even though she doesn't want to learn the alphabet. But
Yeah.
she's learning another way.
Right. And
Yeah.
That's so much of what people talk about is like, we all learn so well through play,
Yeah, play
right?
is so important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
play
we
and experiences.
right, because you still play, I still play.
I'd
You
like to
know,
play more, actually.
you have Friday night, we end up at my daughter's in town, and there's a bunch of us play cards and different games. So,
Yeah,
and she sees that, and it becomes again. This is one of the things that you teach them is your values. And if we don't teach them the values, and then the government school system is not going to do it for them. I think our values are very important.
definitely. I mean, every family has their own values, and I think
Yeah.
that we were all, and at the end of the day, a lot of people's values are the same, right? Do no harm,
Oh
love,
yeah.
and so if we,
Basically.
right, if we focus on that and don't force kids to do things that are ridiculous, then we should be fine.
Yeah, yeah. There are some things we have to say no to. My kids saw that great big blacktop road out there when they were two, wanting to walk, and they want to go out there, but you can't do that. So there's some things we stop them, but
Now,
most we didn't. There
yeah,
was
and
a
that
great pardon.
that you probably didn't have to come across when you were homeschooling your kids is, media.
Well, the games things was starting. So our kids got Nintendo and they played a lot. And I played with them. There's some games that I could play, golf, or different ones we'd play. But it wasn't and we never had a TV where you could we took the TV apart and made a puppet house out of it. And so we didn't have commercial TV, and so we were exempt from that. I
That's
didn't like what it, yeah.
that's a great idea, especially if you could find like an old TV,
Yeah.
right?
Nice cabinet. You got the great big screen, you can all
Yeah,
hide behind it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And they put on their own shows
Right. Yes.
and costumes.
Yes. And then they can
Right.
make so many ideas.
Yeah, there's so many ideas. Essentially, you just, if you like living and you like your own life, go about it and bring your kids with you, And of course, that's the more difficult if you're a single mom or single dad. That's another story. And if you have to do that, well, then I say just support what they're doing in school. Support them. Not
Yes.
so much the school district is what people do, they get called in because the child is doing something they shouldn't be doing, and they support the school district. I'd say support your child.
I
They
see.
really need
So
that.
if your child's being called in for being disruptive or whatever, you go in and you're supporting your child.
I'm supporting the child, yeah, absolutely. There was an interesting interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson on Instagram that I watched yesterday, and he said, don't expect, he says, the kids make a mess. They're doing experiments. They pick up a glass and it drops. They don't know glass breaks. This is an experiment. Don't expect your house to be clean if you're going to raise children. It's insane if you do.
Right, absolutely. Um, what about, so I feel like even I experienced this when I was first considering homeschooling my daughter, right? The first things that you come across when you think about homeschooling is all these curriculums that are being offered.
Oh yeah.
They're overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. Like, how am I gonna
Yeah.
like, fit all of this in and also maybe work, or even if I don't work, how do you fit all that in?
Yeah.
Um, so what do you say to that?
Oh, we never did a canned curriculum. I don't think it's necessary. And it's one of the biggest things. If you're going to homeschool, you're going to have to sit down and think. And a lot of people don't think they're capable of doing it. And yet you've taught them how to walk.
We
Wow.
did, they taught themselves.
Yeah, we role modeled it, and they said, "Yeah, I want to do that." We taught them how to talk. They watched us talk, and we role modeled. They did it, jumping and running and all this, and reading. If you're a reader, they're going to want to read. They're going to see the value in reading. Yeah. So no, I never did a curriculum. It just if you buy a curriculum, you're doing the same thing. Why are you keeping them home though? You
Right,
might as well have that babysitter and send them off if you're just going to let somebody else give them curriculum.
right, that is
Um,
true.
yeah,
And I think that is the misconception of homeschooling because of the nature of the word,
right.
right? So you think,
Right.
oh, it's school at home. We
Yeah.
just need to have them in that
Yeah.
classroom, but
Yeah.
we'll do it at home because they still need to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that is the misconception, is that, as you were stating, children
Yeah.
teach themselves when we
Yeah.
model. And
Yeah.
so we take our kids out of school,
Yeah.
it's because hopefully we've done a lot of deprogramming. We've thought about what's valuable in life, and we want our children to be able to move into their own passions.
Yeah.
It's not about needing them to learn biology, chemistry,
No.
language, reading, math, algebra at a certain time and date,
Right. No.
a certain age.
No. We teach them how to learn. And
Yes,
actually, they already know how to learn.
they already know
We
how to
just
learn.
let it happen, you know. If you're assuming they're not learning because they're in there just sitting there looking at the wall or daydreaming, no, that's learning. 99% of a job is thinking about the job.
Mhm.
Um, Cooking, you know, in cooking, you got science, you got chemistry, you've got human relations if you're cooking with somebody else. You've got manual dexterity, and you got reading because you got to read recipes, etc. So there's a whole lot within cooking. There's a whole lot within sewing. There's a whole lot
Sewing,
within, yeah,
woodworking,
woodworking.
gardening, that's
Oh
biology.
yeah, yeah. Gardening is marvelous. You got ecology, you got the science, you got reading, you've got human relations. We've got a big garden, and our granddaughter now is down there helping, and all the kids did as they were growing up. You know, and they got to see where real food comes from.
Which is very important.
Very, very important for your life later. Yeah.
Yeah, so how come you homeschooled just 8 and not 10? What happened to the other two?
Well, 10, my wife, I was got a divorce, and my wife took that son with her.
Okay.
So we didn't get to do him. And
Okay.
the last one died in childbirth.
Oh, okay.
Home birth too.
Yeah.
Still died in childbirth. So yeah, we didn't home. But you know, um, all the kids have attended all of the births of their brothers and sisters. So that in itself was a lesson we figured that she taught us, you know. And yeah, that was
That's so beautiful. Wow, I just so many good experiences. Now, what do you think your kids would say about their experience never having set foot in school except for the one?
some of them now are saying, you know, they come to me and so now I see now that I'm 30, 40 years old, now I see what you were trying to do. You know, and some of them are still have a little difficulty because they think I have one daughter who lives here now, and she thinks that I'm going to have to get somebody out here and teach her how to read. And I go, no, you guys are too worried about her trying to get her to read. She's
Oh, your granddaughter.
my granddaughter. She's going to read. It's impossible for her not to read.
Is she?
Yeah, huh?
How old is she?
7.5.
Right. There are plenty of people that don't read until like 9 or 11,
Yeah, we had a couple kids that way.
right? Like great
Yeah.
authors, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that don't.
Everybody learns at a different rate. Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm trying to think of what other questions do parents often come up with when they're considering, you know, pulling their kids out, right? I think we've already touched on it. It's that they don't need to be taught.
No, they don't. They just need to watch somebody who's interested in their own life. And generally people are. I don't care if you've got a lousy job, they'll learn that. They're watching you. And if you have fun and you play and you read and you do things, they're going to see that, and they're going to grow up to be fine adults. You
Right.
really don't have to get a canned curriculum to show them how to do it.
No.
We, you know, if there were things that we didn't know, then like the community you're forming up there in Portland, you know, that we turn them on to those people, and we could connect with them and they could show them different things.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. It's expanding your community.
Yeah, you tap into your community. That's
Yeah,
what I think is one of the most important things for us as guides is to keep watching what's happening in the community. We'd be reading the daily paper, our local alternate paper, and we saw, oh, hey guys, there's Aikido lessons, free lessons. Anybody want to try it? And they all went and tried, and several of them went for 4 or 5 months. The two boys they started at 8 years old, and they went for 8 years before they quit. Yeah, it was mind blowing. So
yeah.
you never know what's going on in the community, and you can tap into it.
And
Great area to be living in.
let's talk a little bit about your mindset, right? Because I think what makes a successful experience as far as unschooling and stepping into your child's path as a parent, I
Yeah,
think mindset. Do you have
yeah.
anything to share about the mindset?
Well, my mindset is, again, it's going to happen. I like my life. I want to live to be 92, 102. I want to live all of my life, not part of it, not the youth part, and try to, I just know it's going to happen and I'm going my way. And, if you don't want to go, that's fine too. Many kids, there's things they don't want to do, and that's fine. You don't have to do them, including now, and that's a disciplinary thing that comes along though. But discipline is, I don't like the word discipline because they think it's a punishment. It's not true. Um, we got a granddaughter now who really doesn't like to work, doesn't want to clean up, so we try to not go in and say, you've got to do this, but we go in and say, can you help? I'll help you. We've got to clean up because this or that's happening, And of course, if she absolutely refuses, and she's got the right to do that, but then also I have the right to not take her where she wants to go. I know that's kind of a punishment, but
Well, and I also think on the grand scheme of things, it's
yeah.
a mindset where you you are self-assured that your child will become something great,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like you had that confidence. You
Yeah.
had that confidence when your children were young that they will do what they were meant to do.
Oh,
And
we're just watching them. Absolutely.
right, we don't have to
Yeah.
do anything except
No.
support them.
Be there and support also, like when they were going to school and college was crazy at times. I'd get a call, oh man, I locked my keys in my car. So I live 16 miles out of town, so I drive into town and get the keys, help them, to get going. And I go back home, and then I get a call from another student who, oh, I left my term paper there, can you please bring my term paper in? So this is the kind of support that you do, along with, maybe helping them write an essay, or helping them with math or whatever it is they're into. But yeah, they're going to do it. And then later you're just your support any way you can.
Yeah.
And they do, my son's currently, one of my sons has got a wife and a baby's on the way. And little does he know that this is not something that's going to happen to him for 18 years or 16 years. This is a lifelong commitment. You're going to know these people, and you're going to support each other for the rest of your life. So you better. I don't want to say stay friends with them, because I don't think you can be absolutely friends with your kids because you are the adult in the room. Um, but you can stay in touch with them and play with them
Yeah.
as they get older. And
Yeah.
they often go on and learn things that help me.
Right. Oh, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, even my
Yeah.
daughter now who's 14, she knows a lot of things that I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
because she also thinks a different way,
Yes.
right? And so that's also magical.
Yes. That other thinking is great because if you all saw it the same way, you'd all make the same mistakes. So
Right.
this way, you've got other input coming in, and it's really, really wonderful. I think even now at 7 years old, my granddaughter is coming up with some solutions.
Right.
They're not all correct, but she thought we've got an ant problem. And we do a lot of we put the honey into a moat and then to keep it safe. And she says, I've got an idea. Let's take the sugar and just create a little trail all the way down and out of the house, and the ants will follow it out.
Adorable. Yes, why didn't I try it?
It's great thinking. It's creative thinking. Not quite right, and I didn't tell her she's wrong. She'll figure that out later, you know.
Right. Right. But yeah, every idea matters.
Yeah, every idea matters.
Yeah. And gosh, when I think about it, it's so wonderful when we aren't trying to force feed our children because we get to see what comes out of them. And
Right,
it's just so refreshing and
right. Yeah.
right. Okay, tell us about your books. What can
Uh,
people
um,
expect
go
when
ahead.
they're reading? Learning is everywhere and everywhere.
Well, to me, there's only two chapters in it that are really worth it, and that's curriculum and technique. The rest is filler in a sense. Although there's a chapter on legalities and we explore some of the things we had to do. You know, we had to do some interesting things to get away from, for instance, we didn't want to do them, so we had to create ways to get around that. Um, but curriculum and techniques, we take a look at a lot of different possibilities for curriculum and how they, for instance, you know, cooking teaches science, etc., and that kind of thing, what they all teach. And techniques is how you do it, because we might both be teaching, let's say, a history, but you and I would both go about it a different way. So we explore some techniques and how to do it in there too. And I think that's something that would be valuable from the book.
Oh, fun. Okay, great. It's just other considerations, right? So people can wrap their minds around pulling their kid out and also having them get the experience of whatever they need them to do, reading,
Yeah,
writing, arithmetic.
absolutely. And we put a chapter in there about, you know, how we got to where we got, why we left Des Moines. We left Des Moines, Iowa, because they were going to take our kids away from us if we homeschooled. So we had to get out of town.
Oh,
The truant officer came to when we were getting ready to go, said, well, you've got 2 weeks, I'll leave you alone. But your neighbors turned you in, said you got 2 weeks. So
so you
we'll
are
be,
not allowed to keep your kids home.
no, not at all. Two teachers were being sued, and they were suing the government at the time. And we just figured we didn't have the knowledge or the money or the inclination to do that. So we left, went to Santa Fe Community School, and all of the travels in a bus converted into an RV, you know, and everybody jammed in there, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience.
Is the Santa Fe Community School still there?
I don't know, it's not in existence right now. It was one of the longest running schools, alternative schools in the country, 25 acres community, and they taught based on the Summerhill
Right.
concept. Yeah,
I saw the
which was,
Summer Hill movie. And it was
oh,
amazing.
really, really marvelous
Oh gosh.
school. It had its challenges, but it was a marvelous school
And
for the most part.
it's still going on. And I guess there's one in the East Coast.
Yeah,
Or
that's what I hear.
based on Summer Hill in the East Coast. Yeah, a
Yeah.
girlfriend of mine was really into that school. Now I'm really kind of excited about the Acton Academies. Have you heard of them?
No.
There's Acton Academies that are popping up all over the US, and they're
Uh-huh.
basically entrepreneurship schools.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the Socratic method. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of discussion. The teachers are
Mm-hmm.
guys, they're not teaching anything. They're just there for support. And then by
Right.
the time you're around age 12, they encourage you to start your own business.
Cool.
Yeah.
Marvelous. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
only one I know about it. I've never gone to one, but from what I gathered from what I read.
Yeah. Yeah. Teaching at Santa Fe was interesting because we never know what was going to happen any single day. I had an art room, and the kids would come in or not. You know, it was up to them. So I do my thing. I do my art, and they see me doing it, and they come in and say, "Do you have any of this?" or "What do you think about that?" And it was just really small touches that you taught. You mainly supported them, and had products around for them to use, and they were on their own.
Yeah, I always dreamt that it would be so great to have a sort of school where you had a gigantic art room, a
Mm,
a game room, a
Mm,
gigantic like tinkering room, all of those things, right? That people can just, the kids can just engage in whatever they wanted.
yeah, yeah.
That would be so fun.
We had a teacher who taught math, and she'd show up on Monday at 9 o'clock and get ready for maths, and she rarely had anybody come in.
Nobody wants to learn math that way.
Yeah, I have a friend who teaches higher math. She's got a master's in math, and she teaches on her Indian reservation up in Canada. And she said, I would love to teach higher math in shop. They'd all remember it
Yes,
if you taught it in shop, you know.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how it is.
yeah. Or home economics for that. Or today they call it adulting or something, you know.
Well, economics would be just building out a business, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what about the Witches of North Springfield?
That one's 32 stories. True stories about what happened, you know, like a memoir in a sense of things that happened along the way. Some of their poignant stories, and some are very sad. You know, I wrote about the last child who died here. That whole episode was incredible. Some of them are funny. Blue bus story. We're in the blue bus and we're traveling. Stories about that, and always talking about this is how you learn. You know, we were going over a mountain and we left Santa Fe Community School and we went in the bus and we were going over this huge mountain trying to get into California. And this little bus took us all morning to go over the mountain. And at times I got out and I let Eric get my older son get in, hop in, and he'd drive and I could walk alongside of the bus just to get exercise.
No way.
Yeah, so it took us 4 months to get from Santa Fe to here, but that was an adventure in itself and everything. You know, like I say, learning is everywhere and all the time. You know, there is no moment that kids are not learning.
Right. Except
And
for when they're sitting in four in between
it-
like four
It's
walls
it's
having
so hard, so hard. It was a Dick Gregory. I saw an interview with him recently saying that it was criminal to put kids into a room with a box with lucky if they got a window, they're going to be looking outside, which is what I did when I was in that. I remember that. Watching the clock get to 3 so I could get out of there. You
yeah.
know, many kids
I
are
was
like,
furiously writing notes to my friends that I was going to pass to them during recess.
right. I know that the learning takes place, most of it takes place in the hallways
Yes,
of the school system.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now tell me, do you provide one-on-one coaching support for those interested in unschooling?
We do, but it's very informal.
Okay.
If people call us or talk to or write us or Zoom or whatever, we talk to them about it. And or you know, you could come down here and spend the day and talk and watch and see how what goes on. But you're
That,
generally just living your life and in reading, cooking, and traveling and whatever. And it's just a wonderful way to teach children,
doing
I
meaning,
think. Yeah,
right? And like you
very,
said, enjoying life.
yeah.
Now, do you recommend people find you at Tao Farm? Is it taofarm.net?
Yeah. It is, and then, well, I was dowfarmconsulting.net. I just got rid of that other one and I'm changing. The other one was useless, but
Okay, so
whatever.
taofarmconsulting.net, and that's where they
.net, yeah.
find you. That's where they can buy these
Oh no,
books.
.com, sorry.
Oh, taofarmconsulting.com,
.com, yeah.
and they can contact you directly there or your
Yeah.
wife,
Yeah.
and they can also buy the books.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, that I think that was really helpful. I hope that was helpful for our listeners to sort of wrap their minds around what a
Yeah.
day like when you pull your kids out. Oh, and speaking of, when you pull your kid out right away, I feel like I've read several or heard from several moms, people
Yeah.
that pulled their kids out, that each year that they've been in school, you would want them to decompress for at least a month for each year.
I'm not, yeah. I At the Santa Fe Community School, we would get new students coming in and they'd come in from the public system and it was a little bit of a culture shock for them and it took them a while to get in. And at first, one of the strangest things, they love to use the language and they love to curse. They weren't hadn't been allowed to curse, and all of a sudden they're going to do a
Right.
lot of cursing.
Oh,
And but that if you just let it go, it passes rather quickly. They see that it's not an intelligent way to communicate. So, but it
right.
did work for them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine you're going to have to decompress a little bit.
Yeah. And I think for parents, I think the work is really deprogramming and really getting into the mindset of appreciating your
Yeah.
child. And
Yeah,
being,
you've got to have faith in yourself and you have to have faith in the kids. That's really
yeah,
what it comes down to. Hey, my mindset is I can do this. I showed them, I didn't teach them, I showed them how to walk, talk, and their values. So
I
what
can
else is there?
I can do this because I love my child.
Yeah, I can do this because I love
And if
myself.
we look at ourselves, didn't we all learn best once we found a job that we loved,
Mm,
right? Anytime we were into something, we would dive 100% in,
100%.
right? And we would learn
Yeah.
all that we could. And
Yeah.
that was what was fun and
Yeah.
fulfilling. It was never school. Some people might have found school fulfilling.
Yeah.
Don't find school fulfilling. If your child doesn't find school fulfilling, then
Yeah.
they're off the ways.
No. One of my sons, Matt, he's still into music, and he slept with his guitar when he was about 12 or 13. He slept with his guitar, and yeah, he just dove into it so much, formed a band, learned other instruments, performed around town, and he's still into music. I have another son who's he plays for the Eugene Symphony as a sub from time to time. The double bass, several musicians in the family.
You see that? That's just incredible, because a lot of people would say, oh, if you want to play for the symphony, you're going to have to go to this, and this school.
No, yeah,
You just got to love what you're doing.
you got to love what you're doing and they'll accept you. You have to believe in what you're doing. Yeah. And
Yeah,
everybody has doubts, but look at them and then keep going.
yeah. I would love to share that the teens that I have seen around me that have done the deschooling, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
what's beautiful to me is to see all of their passions and
Mm,
how happy they are doing what they're doing and
yeah.
discovering.
The other thing with homeschooling is I found that, boy, my kids, and I've seen other homeschooling, many of them are able to interact with all ages. They aren't isolated in a single age group, and they're happy with, I don't care if you're older, the same age, or much younger. They still have a good time together.
Yes.
Yeah, socialization. So we're doing a much better job socializing in homeschooling than the public school does.
Oh my gosh, that is such a good point for you to make about the socialization, right? Because I feel like, I'm on the Facebook and
Yeah.
homeschooling groups, and so many moms will write in, well, what about socialization? My kids need socialization. Just go out.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't need a mass gathering every day.
Right,
You
right.
know, you
And
need,
we don't
yeah,
necessarily need to always be hanging out with kids their same age.
yeah. No, yeah. My little granddaughter now, that doesn't matter who's coming. The last night, the girl was 18 and they had a great time together. And
Yeah,
somebody comes who's younger, she'll show her around. It doesn't make any difference.
right,
She hasn't had that training to isolate herself.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, there's so many good things about unschooling. As long
Yeah.
as you're not in Iowa.
Well, they've changed,
Okay. Yeah.
but
Get around
there
to
are
it.
still some states. Well, Oregon's one of the best states.
Say that again.
Oregon is one of the best states for homeschooling.
And they're also, I've learned one of the really good states for birthing too.
Yeah.
Have to birth in the medical system, they're actually very accommodating for
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
advocating that you want to do for yourself.
Right.
And also, since we're here, there is a website called bridgeacademy.us that you can go on and click whatever state you're in and learn, what's the rules and regulations.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
also a good state for, interestingly enough, it's not a subject that most people want to talk about, but dying. We have our
Oregon,
one of
that's
the,
right. Oregon's the only state where you can choose to die.
yeah,
You can,
and you can have we have that child that died here. She's buried on the property. Yeah, and so that's a place where the kids go down to occasionally and meditate. It's fascinating. Yeah,
it's beautiful, because we need to talk more about this rebirth.
yeah,
I love when people say transition or ascension as opposed to dying.
yeah,
Our soul lives on forever.
yeah. You'll stay here in the memory of everybody else. You know.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bruce. Anything else?
No, I can't think of anything else. Just have faith in yourself and your kids. They want to learn every possible thing they can.
Right.
You
Yeah, they're
know,
always learning. We're all living, learning.
always. My my granddaughter's learning the language. I said, "Oh, wait till we tell her that it never ends." I'm still learning the language, you know.
Yeah. Right, right.
That's the thing. You're as a guide, you're also a co-learner. So you're learning with the class that you're supposedly teaching, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even if it's cooking, each time I cook, it's different. I remember the recipe, so I might throwing something different. We're learning every time.
We are learning every time. And that reminds me, when you're saying when we're cooking or whenever we're doing anything, we're always learning. And it's also
Yeah,
beautiful to take that back seat and see what you can
yeah,
learn from the child in front of you. If
right,
they want to alter the recipe at all, let them do it.
right. I'm thinking about Rachel Carson. She wrote that The Silent Spring,
Yes.
but she also wrote A Sense of Wonder. You
Oh,
know, she said, go out into the woods and don't name everything like to the kids. So like show how smart you are. Just enjoy being in the woods with them. Yeah. I think
yeah.
that's an important way to approach it too.
Less talking.
Less talking, less, and we know so much because we've been here. You know, I've been here this year 80 years. I know a lot, but they want to tell me how to do it. You know,
Right.
my quick story. My daughter came up to me one day and she said when she was about 6, she said, "Show me how to do chopsticks." And I said, "Okay." And I gave her the hand thing, showed her how to do chopsticks. She did a little bit, and then she left. I didn't hear from her for about that topic for about 4 months. And then she came back to me one day and she said, "Watch this." And she was zooming with chopsticks. And she let me show you how.
That's so lovely.
Yeah, I know.
They want to learn. We just
They
need to.
want to learn. And there's no way to stop them, but you can dumb them down a little bit. So try not to.
Right. Well, thank you, Bruce.
Yes, thank you,
Thank
Belinda.
you
And
so much. I
I
will.
love hearing what you're doing up there.
Thank you. I love your support.